We may be about to watch our very last game of free-to-air Six Nations rugby. With the deal with terrestrial broadcasters, the BBC and ITV coming to a close after this tournament, and with CVC now buying into the commercial pie that the Six Nations has, there's a lot of talk that it's going to go behind a paywall. What does that mean for the sport? What does that mean for us as fans? What does that mean for the future? I think there's a discussion to be had, which is far more nuanced than a lot of the conversations you seem to see, which is just a simple no, it has to stay on terrestrial TV. I think there is some nuance here, so that's what I want to delve into. And so thank you for watching. I'm Tim. This is Egg Chasers, and in addition to our podcast released every Monday and some Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and in addition to finding us on Patreon, you can find us here on YouTube. So just chatting about the game we love and having a deep dive into some individual topics. So hit subscribe, like, share, and leave your comments as well as we talk about this. The future of the way that we watch the Six Nations tournament, which has been absolutely brilliant. I mean, what an advert for the game the last weekends, or the last few weekends, matches have been. Absolutely brilliant. We do have to confront some realities when we get into this conversation. And the first one is that the way people view content has completely revolutionised over the last 10 or so years. I mean, it's very, very rare that I will sit down at a certain time to watch a certain station, to watch any sort of programming live. Linear broadcasting is shrinking, and that's only going to be more so over the years. It's all streaming, on demand, catch up. Sport is the exception to that, where, and this is why it's of such value to broadcasters, you can get an audience gathering around their TV at a certain time to watch a live event. And that's why, as I say, it is of such value. Another reality we have to confront, rugby needs money. And this is the case even before the last year and COVID, because even before then, the balance sheets of unions and of clubs was looking on shaky ground and in some cases dire. So rugby needs money. And another reality, which I'll just stick a pin in for now, participation in rugby is dropping worryingly, and it's something we need to turn around. So when I consider what I would be thinking if I was in that boardroom deciding over the various broadcast deal options, I would be at pains to point out that it isn't just like selling a house where you take the highest amount. You have to consider much more than that. It's an equation that we're trusting the people running our sport to judge properly and hopefully in the long term as well as the short term. Wouldn't surprise me if it was more short term thinking because of the financial demands, but I hope they're thinking long term. And because you can't just think about it in terms of the amount of money you're getting in. A broadcast deal is also an opportunity to market the sport. The television's like a billboard, and there's a reason why people pay a lot of money, companies pay a lot of money, so that when you drive to and from work in the morning, you drive past a billboard and see their product. There's a reason why that is of value, and you have to consider that television is an opportunity to market the sport. And as I said, participation levels are going down. Participation is one value that a broadcast deal can bring to the sport. Same as sponsorship deals, because sponsors pay for eyeballs. And also getting people to go from being viewers to go into an actual ground and buying a match day ticket. These are all ways that we can market the sport. Now, at this point, you might be thinking I'm coming down on the side of just purely saying, well, it's got to be terrestrial because that's the best way to achieve that aim. Not necessarily. As I say, it's an equation. And I do think there's a tendency sometimes to overvalue the scale of the reach of the broadcast. So a lot of people have been pointing out that it's something like £8.5 million at peak. Most number of people watched a game. I think it might be England, Scotland or England, Wales, and about the same amount for England, France at the weekend just gone, which is a huge number. That is a massive number. It sounds great, but what impact is that having on that equation of growing the sport long term? We've had terrestrial television coverage forever. Before the Six Nations, it was the Five Nations. That used to be on the BBC as well. I can remember watching that. And yet, and also, less than 2 years ago, we had a Rugby World Cup that was broadcast on free-to-air terrestrial TV. And yet, participation has gone down. Profits have gone down. Or debt has gone up, whichever way you want to look at it. So consider that we don't need the BBC or ITV to fill Twickenham or the Principality Stadium or Murrayfield or whatever on a Six Nations Day. The tradition, the sport, the history and the number of people that love the game and love going to these occasions will mean that those are always oversubscribed. There's always more demand than supply. So a devil's advocate position here for a second. Are we putting too much emphasis on the need for it to be on terrestrial TV? Maybe. People don't like change. I mentioned it used to be the Five Nations tournament. I can remember when that changed and Italy were introduced. There was a lot of people, myself included, a bit like, not sure about this. But we got used to it. And hopefully there'll be a bit more change as well on a slightly off topic. Hopefully there'll be a bit more change and they might introduce promotion relegation into the Six Nations just to kind of refresh it. There's a lot of people saying they don't want that. And that might just be a fear of change as well. So we shouldn't let a fear of change get in the way of working out what the right equation is for rugby going forward, what the optimum situation is. Now, I'm a rugby convert already. I will go wherever the rugby is, be that Netflix, Sky, BT Sport, Amazon, or BBC, wherever. They will get my custom, and that is why it's so valuable to potential broadcasters, because rugby is a great demographic. It tends to be people that have higher than average disposable income due to a number of reasons. People, it's usually like more male skewed, of a certain age, where like working age, and that's why it's valuable. It wouldn't be 8 million. Whatever broadcaster gets it, if it's not free to air, it will not be 8 million people that go and watch it, I wouldn't imagine. But flip it over. If you kept it on ITV and BBC and you knew that most of that 8 million people that are watching are never going to play the game, never going to take their kid along to play a game, never going to buy a shirt, never going to go to a match and pay money to go and watch, never going to tune in for a Premiership or a Pro 14 or whatever it may be game, what value are those people to the sport of rugby, other than vanity of having a big number? I think that's sometimes the bit that is missed here, is what difference is it actually making? Because as I say, I'll come back to it, participation levels and profits are going down. So, devil's advocate position, it goes behind a paywall to a non-free-to-air broadcaster. And if a higher deal, a greater amount of money for the unions, means that more money gets spent by the unions, I realise I'm using some ifs here, if it got used by the unions to pay for more floodlights at grassroots clubs, pay for 4G pitches, reinstate the community coaches which got sacked last year so they can upskill coaches in local communities, getting the game played in schools. That is such a massive one, particularly in England. I'm not too aware of what it's like in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland and the Republic as well. But certainly in England, I live in Manchester and you have to go to a fee-paying school to play rugby. And so my son doesn't play rugby at school. Fortunately, I take him along to his local club. But getting it into schools is absolutely massive. What if you funded coaches that could facilitate that happening? All of these things that I've just said, I think they would actually grow the sport. They would actually get more people going to local clubs, more people participating in the sport, coming along as spectators, and that would feed itself more and more. That would mean you can then charge a bigger broadcast deal, which then means more money can be spent on these grassroots up kind of things, rather than a top-down, chuck it on the telly, people will turn up. If we build it, they will come kind of a thing. Maybe not in this current world when there's Netflix and all these other things and all these distractions. You need to really work out this equation and weigh it up. But equally, if this is why, if they do go behind a paywall and they get a big payday, you can't just have that money frittered. It has to be used wisely to fund the game from the grassroots up. And then I could actually get on board with it, I think. But like I say, people don't tend to like change. So the general discourse on this at the minute is just, it would be a travesty if it goes off of ITV or BBC. Maybe that is the case. Maybe I'm slightly wrong, but I do think there is different ways to look at this. And I look at the viewing habits and the way that the world is going, and I don't think you can necessarily look at it like that. The one constant thing here is just going back to that general point of broadcasting is an opportunity to market your sport. Think about that when you're next posting a tweet or making a YouTube video, or if you happen to be a broadcaster watching this, when you're writing an art or a journalist, when you're writing an article or creating some halftime content, remember it's a billboard for our sport. And as I've said on a video a couple of weeks ago, I think we're sometimes guilty of self-flagellating when we have a great opportunity to share the love that we have for our sport, which is exactly why I'm here on this channel chatting about rugby, because I absolutely love it and I want as many people as possible to love it. And if we don't love it, no one else will. Right, see you on the next video.